This is the Variety Sports Network created for the fans, by the fans. Now to your host of tonight's show.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the seventh inning stretch, presented to you by Dugout Mugs.
Josh, seventh inning stretch here. We got the dog days of August to get into today. We got a lot to touch on here. First of all, I got to say we're brought to you by Variety Sports Network. And if you're not familiar with Variety Sports Network, we got a lot going on. We got two other shows that I think are going on at the same time. We got our guys John on it and Mike in Atlanta doing that of your fellow mine. We got our guys over at the College Saturday Showdown. Brandon over there and Caleb doing the show over there at Saturday Showdown. So and then us coming on talking a little baseball. Seventh inning stretch. So if you would have said a year ago, that's the point we're at now. That's pretty cool. 3 shows going on at the same time here. Josh, we're holding down the baseball side of it. 2 months left here in the regular season. A lot to get into, like I said, here presented by Dugout Mugs. We interviewed the guy about 8 months ago with our guy Josh Lewis. That was fun. Definitely not going to use that for the A's, but I'm going to use this one today. Not going to use that. Can't represent the A's yet with it. So going with that. So yes, Dugout Mugs. Be sure to check that out for sure here. A lot to get into, like I said, on seventh inning stretch. I want to touch on a few things here. The Ohtani Olsen home run race as well. We'll get into at the end here. Josh Edwards. With that said, I kind of want to go right away with the big story from yesterday, which was the Phillies. They get the no-hitter from Michael Lorenzen, who was the first player, I think, like I said, the first player to throw a Phillies no-hitter since Cole Hamels in 2015. The Phillies have been playing good baseball. They're not going to catch the Braves. Everybody knows that. The Braves are too far ahead of them at this point. But with that said, this guy comes on, he throws the first no-hitter. What do I got here with he's the first no-hitter in home debut ever. He threw 124 pitches. And like I said, it was the first one for the Phillies since 2015 when Cole Hamels did it. Was the 5th pitcher in MLB history to throw a no-hitter in his first home game. It hadn't been done since 1960. So that tells you how rare that is. That something like that will happen. And it's the first Phillies no-hitter since 2010, which happened with Roy Halladay throwing the no-hitter against the Reds in the 2010 NLDS. So with that said, Phillies get a big lift from him in that trade from Detroit. I feel like before we get to anything else here, let's just touch on that real quick. Phillies starting to get a little momentum here.
Yeah, they are. Before we continue on, I don't know if it's me or you, but you sound like you're fast forward and you're going through a transformer voice changeover.
Maybe it's me.
So check on your end real quick. But no, Lorenzen came in, pitched fantastically yesterday. I want to give a shout out to not just him, but the managers. So apparently during the 7th inning, they went down the tunnel, and the manager asked Lorenzen how he was feeling. He said he was good. Are you sure you're feeling good? He said he was feeling strong. And then I guess they said he was going to put him on a 20-pitch count at that point in the 7th, and he was just doing so well. And he showed the confidence, and the manager used the eye test instead of a computer. He decided for his own with baseball acumen and baseball intelligence on how to manage the game instead of trusting a computer that just spits out digits that can't adapt and take in what you're seeing live in action moments. So I want to commend the manager on using traditional old school baseball skill sets, and Lorenzen on making some history and having a heck of a game yesterday. So congratulations to him. Big game, big win for his debut.
Hopefully you'll hear me a little bit better. Hopefully they'll have my connection. We'll see what happens with it. I'll have to possibly make it work here with it. I wanted to kind of touch on teams with the most pressure during the year. Who has the most pressure at the end of the season here? I kind of feel like the Padres obviously are one of those teams. The Rangers. Do you have any others that maybe come to mind?
So I think the Rangers are under pressure. I think the Stros are under a little bit of pressure. Let me think. There's a couple other teams I had on my list because I don't have my list in front of me.
I also had. I feel like the Giants are under a little pressure as well. I feel out here.
I mean, they're in the playoff race right now. I think the only pressure is to stay in the playoff race. I think, I would say Arizona's under some pressure, but they weren't expected to do what they've done this year. But with as good as they were up until the All-Star break, I would say they've probably put some pressure on themselves now to perform and get back in it because, they were there all season long. This team really came out and played great baseball all year. And now they're 2.5 games out in the wild card. And how many games out? They're like 10 games out in the division. Like, that's a major change from 3 weeks ago.
I mean, I also think the Brewers and Rangers also have some big time pressure. Like we've talked about with the Brewers, they have a very short lifespan here with the roster they have, and then you have the Rangers who kind of got off to such a good start. They're holding on here. I don't know. Those are two teams that jump out to me.
Yeah, I mean I get what you're saying about the pressure on the Rangers. I think it's a different type of pressure. I get what you're saying though. Like I understand it. But yeah, I don't know. I think the pressure's on Tampa Bay over there because they came out, they were just torching everybody, and the Orioles have come along steady and smooth, and they just kept trucking and playing ball, and now they're leading the division. They're the best team in the AL, second best team in the entire MLB, I believe. Last time I saw, I can double check real quick. Yeah, they have the second most wins in the MLB. So I mean, I would like to see them continue on, but I feel like they're playing with house money. Seattle might be under some pressure to try to make the playoffs at this point with everything they have on the roster, but Toronto, Houston, Tampa Bay are in front of them. So the AL is just so stacked. I mean, it's hard to say there's pressure on any AL team because the Yankees are basically done. Boston's basically done, unless something dramatically changes. I think there's more pressure on teams in the NL right now, to be honest.
No, I would agree with that. The Yankees one's interesting to me because they are in last place and they haven't finished in last place since 1990. They've had their GM Cashman for a very long time to this point. Their fan base isn't usually a big fan of it, of coming in last place. I feel like there's a little bit more pressure on the Yankees there. But I think the Angels and the Padres are obvious. The Twins, though, Josh, I mean, this is a franchise that hasn't won a playoff series since 2004. They're in a very weak division. They're in this weird spot as a franchise. I feel like there's a little pressure there in that Minnesota circle.
I mean, there's some pressure. I would say it's more internal pressure. I guess when I think about pressure, I think about it from the fan bases.
That's what I'm thinking. I think if I'm a fan base of a Twins fan that hasn't won a series since 2004, I'm a little frustrated here.
But as a Twins fan, was I expecting them to win the division and do something in the playoffs this year?
Crappy division. Yeah, I would think that you were expecting them to be right there with it.
I mean, yeah, I guess you're right. Okay, Okay, I will concede. You win that one. I'll give you that one.
All right.
You got me there.
You'll give me that one?
Brewers, no, there's no pressure because the Cardinals fell flat on their face and just destroyed a whole season. And even Brewers fans knew that they were not going to be a deep playoff team this year. So the expectation that they were even going to win the division couldn't be that high. That's going to be my expectation.
Yeah. I got it. Is my audio better enough?
A little bit. I don't know if it's you or me. So hold on. Let me check this real quick.
I'm gonna check mine. Tyler had the same issue with me, so it might be me. Apparently, when I got on.
Oh no, it's you.
Yeah, it's me. Well, if you want, I'll come on for a second. If you want to take the reins for a second, I can jump off. But
yeah, I mean, you do whatever you want to do, buddy. I can sing and dance for a minute or two.
All right, there you go. I got you.
All right, so we were talking. Now I'm drawing a blank because we were in the middle of it. But talking about teams under pressure, I think the pressure is completely off now. Off a lot of teams, especially teams that are up top. Like I don't think Milwaukee has a lot of pressure just because of expectations. In terms of pressure, I think there's going to be a different kind of pressure on two organizations next year. And it's the two organizations who are the most winning in baseball history, and that's the Yankees and the Cardinals. Both teams are in last place in their respective divisions. Both teams fell flat on their face this year. You want to talk about pressure? I see where Daren comes from on the the Yankees have pressure, but so do the Cardinals. But I think it's going to be a different kind of pressure from the fan base that these organizations, these ownership groups, and these GMs are not used to going into next season in the offseason. So that's the pressure that I think I'm more focused on is who's going to be in pressure in the offseason as much as anybody who's pressured to get in the playoffs now. I think the AL is wide open for the most part. I think there's 9 teams that can make the playoffs, maybe 10 teams that can make the playoffs in the AL. And in the NL, the top 5 are so strong, and there's 4 people competing for the 6th spot. So, I mean, there's a little bit of pressure, but I think we're looking at who's going to be under more pressure in the offseason.
We'll see what
comparatively
happens here. Let's see what happens here with my audio.
That's better.
It could be better. But
that's better.
That's better. Based on your comment there, I'd say it's partially because you're a Cardinals fan, so you're already thinking offseason.
Oh, yeah. I've been thinking offseason since the All-Star break.
What do you got of this? Question of the week. Let's get to it. If you had to build a team, grittiest players, give me a couple you got. Who's on your team?
I want old school guys. I want guys like Kurt Flood, Bob Gibson, Babe Ruth. Y'all are going to be shocked when I say this name. Pete Rose.
I like that.
Johnny Bench. I want Yadier Molina.
Of course. You would have thought that.
I mean, he was for a catcher. I mean, he didn't take nothing from nobody.
No, I'm good with that.
I mean, Piazza and Pudge could be on the list too, but I mean, I love catchers. So let me see. Nolan Ryan was a beast. I mean, dude was just an animal. Randy Johnson, Kurt Schilling.
I got David Eckstein as one Cardinals guy there. I feel like
David Eckstein.
I feel like he was always gritty there. I think Daren Josh is somebody I think of when I think gritty as well. Like just kind of like went all out center fielder for the Angels back in the day. Garrett Anderson giving Angels a lot of love, but those are guys that were killers here against the A's. I also would have to go with Craig Counsell, Dustin Pedroia would be on that list.
Pedroia, that's a good one
as well. Mark Lemke, a brave shout out there, John, 1993. My boy Brian Johnson. Lemke was a killer in the playoffs. Those are the guys. Those are the pesky guys, the gritty players that you think of. One of my favorites passed away about 10 years ago, Tony Phillips. He was a gritty player back in the 80s and 90s, early 2000s. Will Clark, definitely gritty. A player, Dog Days of August. That's who I think of right there. I think Will Clark on that list for sure. And then a couple other ones locally. A's. I always used to think of Mark Ellis, and Eric Burns was kind of a gritty player for the A's a little bit too. So those were a couple of guys that I liked as well. When I think grit, we could go like Ty Cobb. I know all that, but those are the guys that jumped out to me growing up.
Yeah, growing up, I mean, I grew up. We're the same age, so I mean, we grew up in the same era of players. So yeah, that's why you hit so many that I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, all right. So it's like, who'd you miss now? Now I'm sitting going, who did you miss?
Juan Pierre I missed. I liked him. He was a gritty player.
Well, see, I was thinking more like all time. So I was trying to make sure I included.
Well, I don't mean like all time like great players. They are already great at what they do. So I think
guys that's true.
They're like kind of carry out what you do, like kind of are like the unsung heroes in a little bit of way because they're
AJ Przinsky.
Exactly, guys like that. Exactly. That do like, they just like come up big. They kind of do the dirty work that's kind of not always seen. Like you said, I mean, Molina's a good one for sure. Even though he's maybe a little bit better than Przinsky, he's still on that list as a great player. Yeah. I'm good with that.
Who else, man? I'm trying to think who else. Who are we missing?
That were like gritty players of all time. I'm sure all right, so let's go to your central. Who was a Cubs player who was somebody on the Cubs that was pesky to you right away?
Well, I wouldn't consider Sosa gritty, but maybe Mark Grace or Moises Alou.
Mark Grace would be a great one. I think that's a good one.
Was Ryan Sandberg gritty?
Yeah. I mean, he was super good, but that's it. Derek Lee was.
I know he was good.
Always somebody that stood out to me as kind of good.
Derek Lee, yeah.
Lowell. How about Mike Lowell? That name. Played for the Marlins and the Red Sox. He was always there, like over 250 home runs, clutch hits over in time to get with the Marlins. Won the World Series with them, like we said last week, and won it with the Red Sox.
Jason Varitek.
would say that counts. Jason Kendall.
I'll give you that one.
Kendall. I mean, for God's sakes, the man tore his ACL running to first base and then return.
It's true.
Oh, we got a couple. Nick Punto. I like that one. Not bad.
Logan just messaged me. He goes, "What's with Daren's robot voice?" We're working on it, buddy. Thanks for tuning in.
Is it pretty bad right now?
I mean, it's not as bad as it was, but it's still.
Yeah. It must be my connection.
Yeah, or you got a loose wire in your mic somewhere, but who knows? We'll figure it out. You're still listening. Like, we can still listen to you. I just sound better than you for once in my life.
That's good. How about if I just go like, I'll do this. I'll just start doing this one.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. You answer this then.
Okay.
You got any other ones then?
Keith Hernandez. Man, I'm sure there's a bunch of Yankees that should be on that list. I'm missing it. Kenny Powers. Jesus.
I like Jack Moore. That's good.
There's just there's so many from back in the day. You don't get gritty players now like we used to. I mean, you just don't. Players aren't the same as they used to be. So,
what do you think about this? I got for Diamond Notes. You can answer it. You look at the list. You see what you got here. My voice obviously sounds ridiculous, so you can kind of answer what I got for kind of things I wanted to point out this week. So I had announcer get suspended for the Orioles. Cardinals get their 10,000th win. Anderson Ramirez fight. Go. What do you got?
Dude, I want to go O's announcer gets suspended first because that suspension was absolutely insane, absolutely irresponsible, and the Orioles organization should be ashamed of their actions. And I just, that's horrible. I mean, he didn't say anything untrue. He wasn't being critical of the team. He was just stating the facts and covering the team. So that was absolutely BS. Are you going to respond or am I rapid firing?
You're rapid firing. Go ahead.
All right, cool. Cardinals get their 10,000th win. Woohoo. It's in the worst season they've had since the 70s. But congratulations to them. The Anderson Ramirez fight. Anderson went down cold. Out. I don't know if he was out, but I mean, he was out. So it was a sissy fight. Huh?
What did you think of that? He threw his glove off. Yeah, like, what'd you think? Like, was that
Sissy. Sissy. I don't know if you can even say that. We might get canceled for me saying that. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it in a bad way. I think there could be a more masculine way to go about things, a more traditional thing. But no, I mean, I love it. Tim Anderson is one of Logan's favorites, and I'm not the biggest fan of Tim Anderson, but he's a good player. But I found it rather amusing that he got cold cocked in the middle of a baseball game and went down like a sack of potatoes. D. Baker moves in.
7th all-time in manager wins.
He's been doing it forever. I don't care. I don't like Dusty Baker.
He'll probably pass Sparky Anderson, be 6. What do you think? My last one here. Who gets the most?
You know, I'm gonna root for Shohei Ohtani because I want to see history made. But I'll be honest with you, man. I'm not sure. I mean, they both got a shot. It's so close right now. It's not even funny.
It makes me sick that again Olsen played for the A's. Absolutely makes me sick that was the case.
Dude, the A's should have had 2 or 3 World Series in the last 10 years with all the players they've traded away or gotten rid of. Okay, maybe not 3. That's a lot. 2.
Hey, so what did you want to? Those are my diamond notes for the week. What did you want to touch on though, involving maybe analytics or what was that you wanted to touch on? Okay. If my voice allows it.
If your voice allows it, you're right. So, sorry, there's an Amber Alert going on. My phone just started going crazy. With the advanced analytics is back up. analytics have always been a huge part of baseball there, but there was simple statistics that we rated how good players were off of, and traditionalists like myself will always use those to give us our base information. But these advanced analytics that have come up in the last 20 years and the way they've been implemented over the last, you can say 10 years, but their major impact has been over the last 5. I mean, it's not ruining the game, but it's definitely taking away from the game. And that's why earlier when we were talking about Lorenzen's no hitter, I wanted to give a shout out to the manager for not trusting the advanced analytics and not going with the in crowd and doing what his job is to do and what managers have done for over 100 years, where you watch the game, you use your brain, your gut, and the information being given to you in real time by your player if they can continue on. Um, the Tampa Bay Rays probably lost a World Series in recent history because they pulled a guy because they didn't want him to see in the lineup for a third time after he'd thrown like 52 pitches. Like, are you freaking kidding me? Like any old school baseball manager would have smacked that organization upside the head and probably resigned over something like that if that's what, was being dictated to him, or not managed the game, I would assume. But I think people are taking the advanced analytics and they're using them as a Bible. Advanced analytics are an amazing tool. They've been brought to us that we need to utilize to enhance the game, not try to dictate the way the game is played. A game that's always been perfect for the last 100+ years, and that we are constantly trying to improve on. Which, okay, the pitch clock's going to be cool for 3 or 4 years, and then we're not going to need it anymore. Too many front office agents in the vacuum. Yes, they can't tell you how any players. Yes, boom. Thank you, Josh Lewis, one of the smartest baseball people I know, backing me up here. They're just playing by what a computer spits out. A computer has not been playing baseball for over 100 years. A computer can analyze the data that we give it in a way that we tell it to analyze it, but it can't take into account the variable change that happens in live real time. So I think baseball is the rules they've made this year have been helpful to the game. But the way that teams and organizations and front offices are implementing all the insane amount of advanced analytics is, in my opinion, hurting the game long term. How do you feel about that?
Let's hope I sound okay. So we'll see if that makes a difference. I think the analytics are a good part of the game, but then sometimes I feel like that if you're having to make phone calls from the general manager spot to the coach spot, I feel like that's going too far, and that's the part where it went too far because MLB had to add a time clock. Think about that. Like, the game was being slowed down so much where people didn't want to watch.
Yeah.
So to me, that tells me that analytics at some point did go a little bit too far in terms of at least the audience. Don't you think?
That's a good point. Actually, nobody's ever brought that exact point up to me before, so I never even thought of it termed that way.
Yeah. I don't know. That's the part for me is like I like it, but there's a drama part of real life humans working their way out of situations, and like that's what draws you to these guys as your favorite player. So I think that's the part for me that I miss.
Yeah, I mean it's frustrating, man, because we were brought up on a different game. I mean, my kids will never understand baseball the way I learned it growing up. They'll never understand the strategy and the mind games that are inside games inside of the game being played. And really, you're taking the skill away from the managers who should be managing it. And at this point, they're out there. A lot of them out there just puppets, i.e., the Cardinals manager, amongst others in the MLB.
Do you think it takes the freedom away from the players? That's what I think it does.
I mean, to some extent, it does. I mean,
there's no personality with their game. Acuna Jr. is like a rarity. You know what I mean? Like, where he can do multiple things and he has this edge, and they allow him to have it.
Right. No. Yeah. He's a more well-rounded player. That's another good point about the advanced analytics. You're taking baseball players and you're turning them into a power hitter or a contact hitter, or you're not letting them. I don't think we're angling the game in a sense of how it is to be well-rounded and players to be well-rounded. I think we're specializing the game almost as if we would with football, where each position has a certain job they're supposed to do, and that is what it is. Which I mean, baseball has that, but you're supposed to. It's a multifaceted sport. You play offense and you play defense. You're supposed to be able to do both, or at least the majority of your team is supposed to be able to do both. But the ones that can't are so good on their own in one sense that you can't not have them on the field, i.e. Yadier Molina. Make sense?
Makes sense to me. There's a lot of managers like this that are puppets now. A lot of puppet managers.
And it's horrible. It's bad for the game.
Is the Cardinals a puppet manager yet?
Oh, God, yes, he is. He's actually, the only reason Mike Shield got fired was because he wasn't a puppet.
Do you think that this guy will get fired in the offseason, or he's too much of a puppet to get fired?
I think they'll give him at least another year. I mean, the president of baseball operations already came out and said he's going to finish his contract. I think he's got 2 more years on his contract.
That would be good if he does. Kapler, too, no doubt.
Yep. I was going to say, Josh Lewis can't stand him. Josh Lewis, it is so good to see you. Why don't you just hop in the room, man, and come on in and talk with us? We'd love to have you on for a couple minutes.
Especially when I'm robot Darren. I can't talk.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely use. Darren could definitely use somebody to talk to. I mean, even though he's roboting it right now. Come on in, Josh.
Okay.
For real, if you can. With our luck, he's probably on daddy duty tonight. His wife's probably busy.
Probably is.
Or they're out doing something cool.
Well, you're about to do something cool. You're about to play poker.
Oh, so that's not cool. It's an old man's game. Nobody our age plays it.
I heard there was a good fight online the other day.
You heard there was a what? I have a baby in my arms and no mic. That's all right, buddy. You can just hop on your phone and hop in. I'll send you the link. But no, Josh, next time you want to come on or you ever want to come talk baseball, you know you always have a seat here on the 7th inning stretch. Always and forever, my friend. But so, I mean, is that kind of where you're at on the analytics, Darren? I mean, are you in the same ballpark I am, or Darren, did I lose you? I think we lost Darren. At least we lost him with a smile on his face, right? I mean, come on. So no, that's where I'm at on the advanced analytics. I think some of the rules have worked out really nicely, but with the dominance of the advanced analytics in the game right now, it's overkill for the traditionalists, and it's making it really, really hard to move. It's making it really hard to transition to the new game because so much is changing so fast. Darren. Well, Darren may not be back. Unfortunately, he's having some technical difficulties on his end with his internet. We understand it all happens. Let's see what else he had on the. He says he's really sorry to leave you guys stuck with me tonight, and it's okay. It'll be okay. So we already went over grittiest players in the draft. We went over most pressure. We talked about Lorenzen. We kind of did our 5. No, man, we were kind of blowing through tonight. We were moving quick. So going into the weekend, there are supposed to be some big games, and I don't have the list because Darren had the list, which is all right. Let me see if I can pull up the whole weekend schedule and see if I can predict the games he thought were going to be the big games of the weekend. Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just see the weekend slate. Here we go. So this weekend we got Braves and Mets. They got a doubleheader on Saturday, so that should be a decent series. Cubs, Blue Jays. So the Blue Jays have been picking it up lately. They've gotten themselves back in the playoff hunt. The Cubs are one of the hottest teams in baseball right now, winning left and right. They have some of the best pitching. Stroman comes back soon. So the Cubs actually could be a real real threat to win the Central and steal it from Milwaukee. And I just don't know if, because of Cincinnati's lack of experience with all the youth they have on that team, uh, are they're gonna. I just don't think they're gonna make a run for the playoffs, but the Cubs definitely could. Um, getting some from Daren here, but so we got Tigers and Red Sox. Yeah, that's not gonna be that big of a game. Red Sox are still playoff contention. Tigers, I guess, technically are because of the division they're in, but I think they're too far out to catch up. You got the Rays and the Guardians, two second place division teams going on this weekend, so that should be an okay series. Yankees Marlins. This will be a fun one because the Marlins will be able to beat up hopefully on the Yankees for once. And I have to bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. I am trying to bring Josh Lewis into the show at the moment so we can have another body. Oh, he might be here sooner than I thought. All right, we'll see if Josh can get in. Hopefully he can because I'm on mobile tonight. But no, so there's gonna be some good series this weekend. Twins Phillies are playing, so that should be a good competitive matchup. Reds and Pirates. The Reds are better than the Pirates are, so that won't be much. Angels and Astros. Now, if the Angels can go into Houston and they can take this series, that's really going to help give them some more momentum for the playoff push, and that'll also help the Rangers in return by keeping the Astros off their heels. Brewers are playing the White Sox. The Brewers should win this weekend. The D-backs and the Padres. I guess this will be a good matchup because of the NL West, considering the D-backs are only 2 games ahead of the Padres. And the Padres have been showing some momentum as of late. Rangers are playing the Giants. The Rangers need to win this weekend, like I was mentioned earlier, because the Astros, if the Astros lose to the Angels or can lose a game or two to the Angels, they can pick up some more space on them and give them some cushion with the division lead. Dodgers and Rockies are playing this weekend, and then you got the Mariners and the Orioles. If the Orioles were to stutter this weekend and the Mariners would win that series, and Tampa Bay can. Who did I say Tampa Bay was playing? Scrolling back through here. Where did I say Tampa Bay playing? Oh, Cleveland. And Cleveland and Tampa Bay can capitalize on playing Cleveland because they're going to be at home in Tampa Bay, although they did just lose 2 out of 3 to the Cardinals. That helps tighten up that race in the AL East. So there's a lot going on there. And there's going to be some good baseball on this weekend. We got a couple doubleheaders, so make sure you tune into that. MLB Network, I'm sure, will be carrying some of the games. Catch your other games on Fox Sports 1 and ESPN and your local Fox affiliate. I don't think we're going to be able to get Josh in. Oh, Josh. He was going to try to jump in since we lost Aaron, but long and short of it is it's going to be a good weekend of baseball. It's not going to be the best weekend we've ever had, but it's still going to be exciting. There's going to be a few good series on. There's going to be a lot of bad teams playing each other, too. So you just got to enjoy it. Look for the highlights. I mean, you know what we should do here at the VSN, the seventh inning stretch? We should do a compilation of the worst plays of the year. And I bet we can get a bunch of them out of this weekend's games. That's not fair to say. They're still professional baseball players. But that's all I have for tonight. Sorry that Darren had some technical difficulties and I couldn't get Josh on. We will be back next Thursday night recapping what's gone on the week before, previewing what's ahead of on the coming weekend. You all take care and have a great week.